So let's go to HTML forms right now. Now, HTML forms, this is what I mean by HTML forms. This is it. Yeah, so this is a form. So it's a form actually. It helps us to take information of a person. So if you want to ask people questions, let's say you want to go to the bank and open an account, a bank account, they give you a form to fill. And when you fill that form, what they are asking you in that form is your information. So they are using the form to collect your data. They are using the form to collect your information. We collect information from users also on websites, and the users may drop their information based on, depending on what your website does. But now this one is a contact me form. You can collect information from your clients, their name, their age, their country, anything you want to collect. I'm sure most of us would have done that, especially when we want to register for a new app like Instagram or Twitter. Twitter collects your information, your name, your password, your whatever. Now, that's the same thing we want to do here. What we are trying to do here is, the only information we are trying to collect here is their name, their email, and a message. When you have a website, sometimes, especially a portfolio like this one, you want to collect information from people that are coming. So some people may not want to send you a message on WhatsApp. They may not want to send you a message, or they may not want to call you, or they may not want to send you a mail. So this is another thing you can take from them, a form, their details. You can take their name, their email, and a message they want to pass to you. Now, this is not limited, whatever is here is not limited to what you can collect from your users. It's not just the name and email or message you can collect. You can collect as much as what you want, as long as that's what you need from them. So some kind of website, you can collect the country, whatever, you understand. So it's a form. Let me show you an example of a form right now. So I'm going to go to greenbill.com, and you see, when you go to greenbill.com, you see a place to sign in. So let's say get started, and look at it. This is a form right now. This form, they're asking for the first name, last name, your email, your phone number, your password. You are creating a password actually. Then your the name of your business category, and all of that. So this is a form taking all of this information from these users. Do you understand? So you need to, that's how to actually create a form. That's what form does. It collects information from users. Now, how do we create this form? How do we make this show on your website like this? You see, form is not just used with HTML. We need HTML and JavaScript to make this work fully. So a full functional form is used with JavaScript. So you can't just use only HTML to do this. But since we are not doing JavaScript now, we just have to understand how to use HTML forms only for now. So this will not really do anything, because when you submit a form, okay, well, let me do something. Let me show you guys something. I'm not sure it's here. Okay, let me show you. Okay, I think it's here. So I'm going to show you an example of how a fully functional form works. So I'm going to go to a database. So this is a server. It's called Firebase. So this Firebase, we are still going to learn Firebase in this course. If you go to your timetable, you see it there, or go to the syllabus rather, you see it there. This is a form. I want to show you how this form works, how a form works generally. Now, this is a form for somebody to log into an account, but I'm not going to log in. I'm just going to register. I'm going to go to the register so that we can register a new person here. I'm going to actually put this app online. It's a to-do app that I created. Yeah, so it's not online yet. It's just somewhere I posted it somewhere, but it's not online. You can't visit it right now. But so I'm going to put it online. So if you want to check it out, you can check it out. So this is a new person coming in, and we are collecting the person's username, email address, and the person can create a password in order to log into the account. So I'm going to say this name. Now I want us to see how this is going to work. I'm using Firebase as the backend for this form. So when I submit this form, the name is going to show up somewhere. So that's how form works actually. When you submit a form, your name, your details is going somewhere, it's going to store somewhere, and the person on the owner of the website is going to see that name and can do anything that he wants. So when you are logging in or you're registering for a app, always know the kind of app you are registering for, because they will have your details and they can sell it honestly. So I'm going to create a username and call it Abe. Okay, let me use somebody's name in the class. I'm going to say Mubarak. So Mubarak, and I'm going to say Mubarak at gmail.com. Now, one of the things that works in a form that I want you to see is that this is an email, and if I click on create account, it's not going to create it because this is not a correct email and I've not created the password. So let me click on it. You can see saying please include an heart in the email address. Mubarak is missing an heart. So if I include the heart and I still click on this, it's going to say please enter a part following heart, because this is not a correct email. So the validation, this is called validation, is trying to say that something is wrong here. You have to, this is not a correct email. So let me just say gmail.com. Now it will still not go because I have to fill this one. So if I say create account, it say the password must be 6 characters long or more. Now because this is empty, so it's not 6 characters. So if I say 1 2 3 and I still create account, it's still going to tell me the same thing. Password should be at least 6 characters. So I'm going to make it 6 characters. I'm going to say 1 2 3 4 5 6. Is it up to 6 now? No. 1 2 3 4 5 6. Then I'm going to say create account. Now the account will be created. It's saying it's loading. Now the account has been created and I'm logged in to this account. You can see welcome Mubarak. Now if I go to Firebase, you'll see Mubarak's details in this backend. Now this is a backend, this is a server. It's a backend, it's owned by Google actually. We are still going to learn this in this class, and we will know how to collect people's data, submit data, and all of that. Now this is the actually the app. So now this going to the authentication. Now authentication means giving somebody access to something. That's what authentication means in a simple term. Then I will go to the authentication tab. Don't worry if you don't know anything about this. This is not the point. I just want you to know that. I just want to see information about someone. Now you can see Mubarak here. Look at his name, Mubarak at gmail.com. You can see it here. So it's a mail now. The mail is here, and you can see when I created it, when he signed in, and his user ID. And I explained something in one of the classes that when you are trying to retrieve something from a server, from your client, I said your laptop, your browser is your client, and you are trying to retrieve something. Whatever you are trying to retrieve always have an ID, and this is the ID, and this is the person that I just created. I can decide to suspend this person, delete his account, reset his password. I can disable his account. When I do this, the person will not be able to log in anymore to the account. So that is how form works. Whatever you created here will be submitted to somewhere. You understand? It will be submitted somewhere, and that person would have your details, and they can use the details to do whatever they want to do. If I log out now, I don't need to create a new account for Mubarak. If I try to do that, let me say Mubarak, and I try to, sorry, I didn't spell it well, let's leave it like that, and I try to use the same email that I used before and a different password, 222222222. It's going to tell me that this email address is already in use by another account. So you can't use one email address for different people because this email address is already attached to a user ID. You understand? So it has to be unique. You understand? So that's how form works. This form works. Now this is not just HTML. If you look at this is just, look at how it's looking. But here it's different. I have it styled differently. You understand? So I can log in with Mubarak's account now and say 12345 6. If that's the correct password, you can see I'm logged in now again. That's how form works. Now we are going to do exactly the same thing in this course, but not now. This is just HTML, and whatever that is happening here is not just HTML. Whatever that is happening here is more than HTML. We have JavaScript here, HTML here, CSS here. CSS is just making this thing look fine. It doesn't have to do anything with people logging in or not. If I don't add CSS to this, it will still work the same way, but CSS is just making it look good. It's just making it fine. So whenever you think about CSS, think about making something look good, look fine. You understand? So that's what CSS is doing. But JavaScript and HTML are what is making it send this information to this Firebase. That's what JavaScript does. Now, when I can use HTML to actually do this same thing, do this validation that I talked about. So if I bring in email and it's not correct, and I say 1 2 3 4 5 6, it's going to say, please, this thing, we are going to do it now. You'll see how it works now. We can actually use HTML, and we can also use JavaScript to do that. But I prefer JavaScript because JavaScript will bring you more. So let me say I put this, and whatever I see here, all these things, this one, the password is invalid or the user does not have a password. This information you are seeing is from JavaScript. It's not just HTML. So we cannot do this with HTML. We have to use JavaScript. So we have to get to JavaScript section to be able to learn how to do this. But we'll get there. We'll get there very soon. Now let's go back to our code and see how to use HTML to create this form. So if I come here and say your name, Abiodun, the email, if I say A B B B B B B without the at, and then say my message is this. If I click on this, you can see it's doing the same thing, and there's no JavaScript here. It's telling me please include an at in the email address. So I'm going to teach you guys how to do that here. So let's go to our contact me page and create that form. Now we'll go to our page. The form is in our contacts.html rather. Now I'm going to go to contact.html page now to create that form right now. Yeah. So this is it. On my VS Code, we already created a file called contacts.html. Everything in this place is actually what is here. Now, if you look at something, I already created a form here. This is a form, but I commented it out, and this is where I'm going to talk about comments. Comments in coding, in programming, comments happens in all kind of programming language, but the way they comment in programming languages differ depending on the kind of language you are writing. The way you comment here is different from the way you comment in all other programming languages. So what is a comment? Initially, a comment is like a feedback or something you are giving, like an information you are passing about something, or a reply you are giving to something. Now, in every programming language, there are reasons why you comment. If I go back to my home page, I can use comments to actually describe what all of these things are. Now, if you go to my own page right now, and I say this, the first page is actually displaying my picture and my information. So I can actually come to my code and say this is my profile picture and info and my info. That's my information. Now this is a comment. You are trying to say that this thing, so anything under this comment is describing anything under it here. But now the problem is that if I save this, that thing is going to show up in the browser, and we don't want people to see it. If you look out this contact.html, the form is here already, but I made it a comment and it's not showing here. If I comment it out and I save it, it's going to show up. You can see it's showing, but let me comment it back and save, and you won't see it anymore. Now, how do we make this comment not to show here? If you want to write comment in HTML, you say you use, everything in HTML has to use this angle bracket. So the first thing is you create this angle bracket with exclamation mark and hyphen 2 times. You can see that immediately I use this hyphen, this exclamation mark, angle bracket, and this hyphen, it's commented out everything here. So if I save it, you won't see anything in the home page except, okay, you won't see anything because everything is out already. So if I go back and I refresh, everything is gone because I already commented it out. And there's something that we always talked about in HTML, which is opening and closing. Because now I opened this now, I did not close it. That's why everything is affected. Now the only thing I want to comment is this thing, and I don't want it to show on the screen. So I'm going to close it here like this. I'm going to say dash dash again and angle bracket right. You can see that when I use the angle bracket, that arrow that is facing right, it has closed this thing, and only this is my profile picture and my info. It is commented. Like you can see the color changed. Now this color may change based on the theme you are using. So like the theme I'm using here is called Tonight something also, can't remember. And the theme in your browser, in your VS Code, might be different from mine. You can see that under here is not showing a blue color because the theme I'm using is different, might be different from yours. So it might be showing a blue color here, which means that the theme is different. So if you comment out, the color it will show on your own VS Code might be different. It might not show it like this. Even all these tags will most likely not show red the way it's showing it in my own code. It will show it in a different way. So it depends on the kind of theme you are using. The theme, I mean, like dark theme, light theme, depending on the theme. So if you want to use the same theme that I'm using, you go to the extension and type I think it's Tonight or something. Is it Tonight? Tokyo Night. Yeah, sorry. So the name of the theme is Tokyo Night. Look at it. You can install it and it will look, your VS Code will look exactly the same way mine is looking. But if you don't want to do that, you can, if you like your theme, you can continue using it. So you can use the extension icon here, click on it and search for Tokyo Night. This is it. It's already installed, so I don't need to install it again. Now this is my profile picture, and my info has helped me to describe what is here. You understand? So this is my profile picture and my info here. And the next thing I can say, this one is, so I'll say angle bracket dash dash. And immediately I created it. Before I wrote anything, the first thing you need to do is angle bracket exclamation mark dash dash, and it's going to close it for you. So in the middle of this thing, you can see the last one, the closing tag does not have that exclamation mark, so it's just dash dash and the angle bracket facing right. So in the middle I can say this is HR used for separating sections on my page. Now this is it. If I save it, I won't see all those things here. Now if somebody else comes to your code, when they come to your code, they will know where to go to find something. So with like this place that I have my skills, I can say this is my skills section. Now let's move on to the contact.html form. Now I have the form here already, and I could just remove the comments and just show it, but now I'm going to explain how you write form. When you are trying to create a form on your page, there's a tag, there's an element. Now before we talked about it, that there's an element for everything in HTML. So anything you want to create, it has to be an element. it can either be an empty element or a full element. And I said that empty element is an element that is self-closing, like a self-closing tag that does not have a closing tag. That's what it means. Now I'm going to create a form tag, which is form, which is normal form. You can see that it's suggesting it for me, and it's going to suggest it and show this. Now let me remove this action. It is when we get to JavaScript we are going to talk about that. Now the form is actually this. Now I have a opening tag and closing tag. So this is a full element form. It has to be an open tag. It's not it's not an empty element. So in between the form, you can now, so if I go to my page, I won't see, okay, this is it. I won't see anything here. So the form itself, this tag does not do anything, but it wraps around everything you want to use in your form. Now what are we trying to create? We are trying to write your name, to ask for the user's name, the email, and their message. Now inside the form, there's something called input tag. So this input tag is an empty element. Which means that it does not have a closing tag like this. It does not have a closing tag. It does not have something like this. This is not valid because you are not putting anything in between it. So it only has an attribute. And I told you that attributes modify a particular element, which means it allows that element to do something. So this input, if you look at it, just typing this input alone is showing something here. So inside here I can type something. You understand? So just typing that alone is showing something on your screen. But now I want to have an input type of something. Now there are different types of input you can have on a page. If I go back to this to do that I created, let me bring back that. Now if you look at the password, when I type password, it doesn't show the text. But when I type this one here, it shows me the text that I'm typing, Q here. But this one does not show me. Why? Because it's a type input of password. So if I come here and say type is an attribute that you need to use, and say equals to, then the double quote here. Always remember to put type and their value. Every attribute comes with a type, the attribute itself, and the value. So the attribute here is the type of input you are trying to put here. So if it's just an input that you just type something like a name or something like that, that's a text. So you put text here to show that this is an input for a text. So anything you type in here will be a text. Let's say WE or whatever. But if you are trying to create an input for a password, it's not text you use. You put password like this. And if I save it, it's going to show me password. So if I type anything, you can see that it's not showing a text anymore. It's just showing some things. It's masking it, so it's not showing me password, a text rather, so that people beside you will not see what you are typing. That's the essence. But now the first thing we want to create is a text, because I think that's what we are collecting here, which is the name. You understand? So that's what we are collecting. That's the first thing we type here. But you can see something here, which is your name. Now how do we put that here? So what we'll do is, outside, before this input, we can have something called a label. So this label here is for this input. You understand? And when you see this for, it means that what's this input, what's this label for? You say user, or let me just say name. Make sure that the value you are typing is small letter, no capital letter here. So name. This for is also an attribute for label, telling what this label is for. And here we have an input called name. Okay, so now the input type is text, but what the input is for is the name, which is what we are collecting. Then inside, you can see this one is not an empty element like the input. So it has an open tag and a closing tag. So inside here, I'm going to say your name. That is for the person visiting your website. Then if I come here, you see something like your name here. You can see it here, same way it is here. So make sure that whatever the label is for is what you are writing there. If this is for email, don't write name, it should be for email, because it will affect it in the server when you are creating. It might not affect it here, but in the server it will actually affect it. So now let me copy this one, since it's the same thing we are using. I want to write for email now. I think that's what we are collecting next, which is your email. You can see your name again, but it's supposed to be your email. So I'm going to change this to your email. So when the user come here, they will know where to type their email. But now this label is not for name anymore, it's for email. And then you see email here. And because we are trying to type email here, not text. Actually, email can be in form of a text, but it's important that you don't write text here when it's for email. So you write type, which is text, which is email rather. So just know that whatever you are trying to use your input for should be what you put here. If you want to use input for password, it should be type of password. If you are trying to make it email, it should be type of email. If you are trying to collect, let's say, date, because there's an input for date also, you should put date here. So let me show you that one briefly. So if I say input and I say type is date, you see what it's going to show here. You can see it's showing me date, and if I click on it here, I can see the calendar and I can choose year, month, I can choose anything. You can see it. So I'm choosing 3/02/2023. So you can always choose today. I can clear my date, my input, and choose something else. So that's how you do it. You can choose anything. If I say color, that means I want to pick a color palette or something like that. You can see it's showing me a color. So if I click on it, I can choose any kind of color on my code and everything. I can choose this like this. So you can try this input out. If you want to try it out, go to the classroom and look for resources and click on resources website, and then look for MDN. So the MDN documentation is here. When you get to the MDN documentation, search for inputs. Type and search for input here. Or you can search for input or form. So when you search for input, you can read about it here. So anything you want to know, you can just, so these are the input types. There's one for button, there's one for checkbox, there's one for color, there's one for date, there's one for date, time, and local. You can see this one is showing also time. You can create time or whatever, 12 p.m. plus the date. You can the one for email, the one for file. Let me show you how the one for file works. So let's say I want to submit something in a website, and I come here and click on, you can see immediately I put input type file. Let me comment this out now. So this is the usefulness of comments. Now you can see it's not showing all those things that I comment here. Now it's showing me input type file. You can see I can choose file, and it will take me into my file system on my laptop, and I can actually choose a picture or something, anything that I want to upload. And if I upload my picture, it's going to just show the name here. If you want to see the picture here, you have to use JavaScript to do that. But for now, we are not using JavaScript. So now already I just uploaded my picture on this website. You understand? So that's how this thing works. So you can always use inputs for many things, especially when you are collecting something from a user. So you can see all of them. You can see the one for image. It displays an image defined by source and whatever, month, number, password, radio, range, reset, a lot. You can see them here. Look at it. This is what a radio means, to select something. This one is a range, to show the range of something. This one is to reset something. This one is to search something. This one is to submit. This one is for telephone, so that you can be able to understand it better on your own. So you can go to that MDN documentation, search for input, and check all the inputs that we have on your own. Now what we are creating here is collecting your name, your email, and then the next thing we want to collect is the message. Now you can see that the box for the message is different from this one. This box, this thing is called an input field. This is an input field, this is also an input field. So you need to actually know how. So this one is different. It's different from this input here. So if I say the same thing and say your message here, your message, and I put for here as message. Now whatever you are typing inside the message will always be text. It's not an email, so it's a text you want to type in. Now if I go there, you see that it's not showing me the message exactly like this. It's different. So how can we make it like that? So in that area, when you are trying to collect some message like a description, something that is much, like you are trying to collect an information that is plenty from a user or a person on your website, you don't use inputs. There's another element that is used for that, and it's called text area. Text area. So now this text area, if I save it, you are going to see it. You can see now, look at it, it's now bigger. So this text area comes with a lot of attributes. You understand? All of these attributes do something actually. So what it means is that, let me remove this name and ID for now. That name and ID is used when you are trying to submit something into the server, so you need them there. Now this one called COLS is a column. Look at what it's described, saying the visible width of the text control in average character width. If it is specified, it must be a positive integer. If it is not specified, the default value is 20. So now this means column, and it means 30 pixels. So now that's what it's saying. So if I say that this should be 100 pixels, it means that the column will be longer. Now when we're creating table, I told you that there's a column and there's a row. Now this is a row, and if I say row is 500, it will increase the row of the text field. You can see, so the person can type as much as they want, but the basic or the standard size should be column, which is 30, and then the row should be 10. The reason is because it's actually this is the standard. So if anybody is typing something that is more than whatever they want to type, they can drag this thing here. You can't drag these ones, there's no way, but this one you can drag it so that you can see everything you are typing. So it's better you just leave it at 30 and 10. You understand what I'm saying? So that's how to create a field for descriptions or plenty text. A text that is more than 10 should be in the text area. You understand? So that's how you put it there. Then now we have created everything, I think. Okay, it's remaining this submit button, because if we don't have a submit button, there's no way we'll be able to submit this. And a form is supposed to be submitted somewhere. The way I created this, so this button is a submitted button, and it's submitting the information into this place. You understand? So that's what this submit button is doing. So what I'm going to do now is, when we submit this thing, I want it to show somewhere. So I'm going to show you something. So because we don't have Java, we are not learning JavaScript now, I'm going to say show somewhere. Because we are not doing JavaScript now, I'm going to let this show in my email. So I've already connected my email. So if I click on submit, it's going to take you to my email and show you everything here. You can see your name, Abiodun, that I filled here, your email, this is the email that I filled here, and your message show somewhere. Now let me close this. Now this submit button is doing that. How can we do that in our code? Before we do that, look at the difference between this one and this one. Everything is showing on a line, while this one, everything is showing line by line. So your name is on the first line, your email is on the second line, your message is on. So what can we do? How can we do that? Since we are not using CSS to arrange our layout for now, we are going to use a tag called BR tag. That BR tag will allow us to bring something that is supposed to be side by side down. So I'm going to use it. The BR tag is an empty element, so it does not have a closing tag. Now you can see that immediately I put BR tag between the name and the email. The email came down. You understand? And if I put it here again in the second part, this is also going to come down. You can see it now. We have your name, your email, your message. Now it's still not looking the same way because your message is up here while your message is by the side. So what we need to do is we need to put that BR after the label so that it can bring this box down. So we can say BR. That BR is the BR tag. Is an empty element. It does not have a closing tag. So you can now see that this is the website. My message, the box is now under here while the message is at the top. So if I want to also put this name at the top, what I need to do is just put BR tag in front of the label also, and it's going to do. Now it's not working, okay, because I used B, not BR. So I'm going to say BR and save it, and it's going to come. You can see it has come down, but because I don't want to do that, let me remove it. So if you are writing something and you want to take that into the next line, use BR tag. That thing is going to automatically come to the next line. That's how you do it. Now I already did everything the same way. All I need now is a submit button. So if you want to create a submit button, you use input again, and your input must have a type, and the type is called what? Submit. So this type is showing that you want to submit this particular thing, and okay, now it's showing now. Now because it's showing by this side, I don't like it to show by this side, so I'm going to just say BR, and it's going to bring it down here, same way it is here. Now I'm going to submit it now. So when we create a form, let's just say Ayo and ay@gmail.com, and then my message is submit this. Sorry, if I submit this now, it's not going to go anywhere because I didn't ask it to go anywhere. You understand? Now how do we submit to show in our email? The way we did this, when we submitted, it went to our email to show. So how do we do that? How we can do that is by going to our form and say something and call it action. So that action is telling us what do you want this thing to do, where do you want it to go to. So I want it to go to my mail. Now when the last time we created something like this, something that is going to a mail, that will open your mail, that will activate and open this mail, we use href, that's an a tag, to link it. But now here we don't need to use href or a tag or anything, but we need to use something. If you go back to your code, you remember that we use something like mail to my Gmail. So now it should now be mail to my email, which is abe.developer@gmail.com. Now you can see, now I have my email here. So any submission, anything I'm submitting, it will go and submit it to my email. It's as if you are saying that you want to send message to somebody. So that person you want to send message to, I can actually come to my code, just type all the message I want to send here and create it like this. And when I click on submit button, it will just open my email. And then if I click on submit button, just open the email that I want to submit to, the message I want to submit. I'll just write the subject here and then send here like this, and it will send it to my email. You can do that with code too if you want to do that. If you want to show yourself to someone, you can actually do that. Now I've already created this down. So now let's go to our code and see if it works. Then I'll say Ayo like before, then Ayo ay@gmail.com, and then let me just say 1111 and submit. Now it's opening my email, but it's not showing those things that I want to submit. What is wrong? Why is it not doing that? So now let's go back to the code. For you to show something here, there's an attribute also for a form called method. So that attribute is called method. Now it's saying that what method of submission do you want with this form? That's what this method means. Now is it to get something or to post something? Now what we are trying to do here is we are trying to post everything this person created here, or the person filled in the browser here, into the email So instead of that, we just write posts. Don't worry, when we get to JavaScript, you understand this very well. So don't worry about it. If you don't understand it now, just know that I'm using it now to just send this form to my email. When we get to JavaScript, you will understand it very well. So now, I said it before that in your input, there's an attribute called name. Now this name is used for server. So this name is saying that whatever you are submitting here is what this input is for. So now, I told you before that whatever this input is for is what you should put here. So this one is for name. So there's an attribute called name. So inside this name, whatever I put in this label is what I'm going to put here. So I'm going to say name. So because this label is for name, I have to create an attribute called name and put whatever the label is equals to that attribute, which is name. So this one is for email. That means the name is going to be email. Then this one is for what? This text area is for name and it's going to be focused. So message. I hope you guys are getting this. So now, right now, I should be able to submit this form. Then let me just use one of these email. Let me use mubarak@gmail.com and say beautiful. Even though the website is not beautiful, let's just say beautiful website. So why do I like to save all the time? So if I submit, it's going to show. You can see now it's showing everything now, but it's not showing it the same way when we submit this. When we submit this, look at the difference. The complete one is showing the name is equals to this, my name, my email is equals to, and my message. But here what is just showing is name is equals to Ayo and whatever sign that is showing here. So how do we make it show here? The only thing we need to do is just come here and say encoding type. Now there's something called encoding type, which is like whatever it is here that we did here. I remember explaining it that this character set for UTF-8, this UTF-8 actually takes a lot of encoding type, which is from symbols to emojis to text to everything. So now the encoding type, everything is here, but here we are not trying to receive everything. The only thing we want to receive is text, so that when they submit, we only want to see the text, not all those symbols that we are seeing. So if I save it now, you can see the way it is before. This is the way it is before. If I submit it, let me close this. So if I submit that form again, where is the form? So if I submit the form and say Ayo and say mubarak@gmail.com and say beautiful website, and then I submit, you can see now that, look at the difference. It's now showing me name Ayo, email Mubarak, then message beautiful website. Now if we did not put this label for name, email, message, you won't be able to see, where is it? You won't be able to see all those things here. I said name here, email here, and message here. That is what is showing here. So that means it must be the same, and this one cannot be different. If you put name here, it must be name here. If you put email here, it must be email here. If you put message here, it must be message here. It must not be different. But if it's different, then you are going to have an error. So it must not be different. Always make sure that they are the same, because this label is for name. So the name should be for name. The name for email should be for email. Then the name for message should be for message. Which means that if you are collecting a phone number, it means that the label for phone number, the input name should be for number or phone number. You understand? So it must be the same thing. So the name must be equal to whatever the label is for. That's how you create a form and collect the data. You can see whatever we typed is showing in my email like this. So next time we are going to be creating a form in JavaScript. It's not going to be on email like this. It's going to be on a database. We are going to create a database where you can collect information from customers or from your website visitors, and it's going to be something like this one. You understand? So that's how to create a form in HTML.